Hey guys, so the rice is getting just high enough now that it's starting to get that nice swaying thing going in the wind. Starting to get a nice ocean effect. So it'll start to produce grains soon, and then off it'll go from there. So today's video is for our healthcare in Japan playlist. We have found over the years that occasionally someone will tell us that some video we've made on the healthcare playlist has been of use to them. Because anybody who's going to come here and stay here long term, healthcare is a huge issue, of course. So that's why we make these videos, is for those guys. For those of you who aren't intending to come here and stay here long term, it might be of some minor interest anyway, just because of the Japanese style of doing things. So every year, those of us who pay the health insurance, the government health insurance premiums every year, which we're all supposed to do, one of the benefits of doing that is that you get a letter once a year that says come and have your free health check if you want to. So there is a myth out there that it's compulsory. It's not compulsory. The letter comes and says if you want to have a free health check, and then there's a page, there's pages and pages of it, as always in Japan, but there's a page there that has a list of all the clinics that you can choose from. And in our case, it's actually the clinic we go to anyway, just the local clinic, with the local doctor. And he's on the list, which means if we want to, we can just go down there and have a free health check. So they usually do, your height and your weight and a blood test, and just check for your cholesterol and all the usual things that you get with a physical, and it's all free, 100% free. And I don't do it every year, but I'll probably do it every second or third year, probably. I don't really have to because I have to do a pilot medical every year. It doesn't really apply. However, this year I thought, because I'm an old man, I thought I might get the cancer check. So when the form comes, it says, do you want to have a health check? And yes, please. And then it says, do you want the optional cancer check? So they can give you an X-ray for your lungs check for cancer, and they can give you a one of those things where you drink the thing, and barium, I think they call it. That's what they call it in Japanese. I think it comes from English. I'm not sure what the English pronunciation. Barium, whatever it is, you drink it, and they can check for stomach cancer as well. So this year I thought I would. I've never had that check before, so I thought I would. So I ticked those boxes, and then back came a pack with another 10 pages of information and forms to fill out, and things to say that they needed some samples and things that we'll get into later. So anyway, I thought today, while I was sitting there between each step, I'd make a note of what the experience was like, to give you guys a step-by-step explanation, because for those of you who might be having it in the future, I've been told by different people that what they've heard on our video has put their mind at rest a little bit about what to expect. So here it is. Here's what to expect. The first note I actually made was, because of those pages and pages of information they send you, and because the actual experience itself, the actual checks themselves, they ask a lot of medical questions about your medical history and things like that. And so it is really difficult. It does require a fair bit of competent English. And if you don't think you can handle that yourself, then what you need to do is take someone along that can help you translate for you or something like that. So that's the first note I made. Unless your Japanese is really good. Problem is medical terminology. A lot of stuff they say, if you haven't heard it before or you're not expecting it, you won't know what they're talking about. It's really same as English medical terminology. It's difficult, isn't it? So anyway, yeah, first thing was 12 pages I wrote here. It was actually 12 pages, the questionnaire, all the information of your medical history. And the silly thing is they make you do it every year, even though your history hasn't changed. You might have added to it, but you got to do the complete history every year. So anyway, 12 pages of faffing. Actually, I really noticed that today. The paperwork we get at home first, and we have to prepare it, and we have to take it there, and then we walk in the door, and you come in, and the first thing they do, they've got this thing they set up during COVID, and they've kept it. So you come in the entrance, and you don't get past the entrance. You've got to sit on a seat, and a nurse comes over and says, fill out another form. So you hand her the 12 pages you already completed, and she gives you another form to fill out, right? And takes your temperature, and what have I written here? I don't want to miss anything. So yeah, check the form. She checks the forms. Oh, and then she goes and they've got a photocopier, and they go and copy some of the forms, and they copy your medical insurance card and your hospital card, because you've got to have like a membership card to hospitals here. So they copy that. So they do another few copies. Paper, you know. The Japanese government talking about going paperless. Like we've said a lot of times before, it's not going to happen for a long, long time. There's no need for any of that, really. It should all be on their computer, and all you should have to do is give them your hospital card, and that should be it. It's all on the computer then, but they don't. And then they give you a folder that has like 4 pages on it, and that's for the different people at the different steps to complete. So with your results, right? So, okay, so yeah, 2 more forms. Oh yeah, and then I don't want to talk about this, but I will. Had to give 2 poo samples, right, taken at different times, and so they're in a fairly discreet little black bag you can't see in. So I've handed it to her, and she's looked at the. I had to write the dates and the times, and she's looked at it. These poo samples, all in Japanese, right? These poo samples, you've taken them on the same day, and I said, yeah, it said in the explanation that you could take it on 2 separate days consecutively, or twice in one day if it was far enough apart. Yes, and she's going on about the poo sample, and there was another like 6 people sitting within arm's reach of me, right? Big discussion about the poos, and I said to her, it said on the explanation that twice in one day was okay, and she said, yes. So why are we talking about it? Anyway, that's what they do. It's just trying to be thorough, you know. They always got to talk about everything way more than they need to, just to be thorough. I'm just looking at the time. This is a long story, and I've got to get into it. Oh yeah, alcohol for your hands, of course. Oh, finally you get past that first entrance, past the gatekeeper, and then, oh yes, please wash your hands with alcohol. Yeah, okay, wash your hands with alcohol. Oh, and then we go in, and she takes me over to this big sort of like shelves, and it's got all the, you know, the hospital clothes on it, and I'd specifically worn basically this, a t-shirt and shorts, and just flip-flops, you know, because I know they want access to you, right? And so she said, oh, you got to put this on, and I said to her, isn't this okay? No, not okay. So I looked like this. Okay, I did take a video of that. I wanted to take video of lots of it, but you can't be taking videos in hospitals very much. So when I got the opportunity to take a video, I did. So there's there'll be a couple of superimposed videos for you to look at. So that's me in the badly fitting hospital gear. I did manage to talk into letting me keep my own flip-flops though, because I didn't want the hospital slippers. You got to shuffle around in those stupid things like everybody else does. Yeah, you got to be patient when you're going through this system. The people are kind enough and helpful enough. You just got to be really patient and nice, you know, because it's hard not to get frustrated. Oh yeah, the silly clothes, the mask, got to wear the mask, and I managed to get away with wearing my own Zori. That was good, with my own flip-flops. Oh yeah, and then you got to sit down. This first part is really slow, you know, getting through past the gatekeeper, and then come back wearing the silly clothes, and then sit there and they shuffle the papers and they do a few more photocopies, pass it around a little bit. That first part was about 10-15 minutes, a lot of faffing around, and then finally a nurse comes along and goes, follow me, and then off we go. And from there on, it pretty well didn't stop. I had a hard time writing some of this because I'd sit down and they'd call me straight away, because they're really efficient. It's like a production line. It's like the Toyota production line. So yeah, wait while copy the papers, that's right, and a healthcare card, yep. Yeah, each time they pass you to the next person, you hand them the file that you're carrying with all the paper in it that's got your name and date of birth on the front, and you hand it to them and they say, what's your name and date of birth? Every step, all day was what's your name and date of birth. Oh yeah, I had to go and do a urine sample, right? Have a look in the bathroom what was written on the bell. Why is there a bell? Why is there a bell with do not press the bell written on it? Why didn't they just take the bell away? But anyway, there was that at your urine sample. Baskets. Every step where every time you go, like blood pressure, you sit down, take your blood pressure, and there's a basket there, and they say, please put your things in the basket. So you put your bag or your whatever you're carrying in the basket, and then sit down and do your thing. Every step, there's a basket there on a stand for you to put your things. Very thoughtful. It's really efficient, excellently efficient. And then when they finish, they go, next step, follow me, and you pick up your stuff and you follow that nurse to the next station where they do the next thing. And it's just like the Toyota production line, A, B, C, D. Now we'll go to D, now we'll go to F. The manga in the waiting areas. Bookshelves full of manga for you to sit and read if you're waiting, but probably wouldn't have been enough time. A lot of the time I was hard pressed to get enough time to write this stuff, but probably people that are waiting for results or something might have to wait a bit longer. They can read manga while they're doing that. Oh, then it was time to actually see a doctor. Everything was done by nurses and by technicians, and then it was time to see the doctor. And they took me in, and the doctors here are almost always the same. You walk in, you sit down. They usually don't look at you. They just look at your paper. That you're sitting there looking at my paper like this, and he didn't even look at me. And the nurse says, sit here. So you sit down next to the doctor, and he's looking at the paper, and he asked a couple of questions. And he says, right, lift your shirt, lift up the shirt, and listen a little bit. Okay, lie on the table. They do that thump, thump, thump thing. I reckon between a minute, not much more than a minute, less than 2 minutes, I was in there with him, and that's really normal in Japan. Most of the work's done by the nurses and technicians, and the doctors themselves usually only see him briefly. They usually don't look at you, and sometimes they do, but usually they don't. They just look at the paperwork. They're only interested in your numbers. They're not necessarily interested in you as a person. So yeah, in with him, out again. Don't look at your face, I wrote here. They don't look at your face, the doctors. And then the nurse actually took me in the next room and showed me, this is your weight, and this is your weight here, and this is your blood pressure. My blood pressure is a bit high, and you need to get your weight and your blood pressure down. And it is true, even by Western standards, my blood pressure is high. So what she said was, and again, here's another myth. The myth is that in Japan it's illegal to be overweight. It's not illegal, but what she said to me is, would you like dietary advice? Would you like us to make an appointment with the dietitian to get dietary advice? And I said no, because I know I'm overweight. But there again, they offer, anytime you've got a problem like that, they offer, would you like to do this? And then with the blood pressure, she said we can do ECGs and we can do these other tests as well to check on the rest of your blood, your heart and everything else. And I said no, because I'll get that in a couple of months' time, because I've got to go back there in a couple of months to get that pilot medical, and that includes ECGs and stuff like that. So my point is, anything that they find that's not cool, they offer you a solution. They offer you some sort of treatment to help you with it. So the solution is less cookies. Lecture from the nurse about the weight, offered a dietitian, and then down to the x-ray area. So I went downstairs, and I haven't had this I've had lots of x-rays here in the past when I was hospitalised for a while, but I haven't had the barium treatment thing. So I went downstairs, had a chest x-ray, and then those of you who haven't had that barium thing, you got to drink this stuff, and then I don't know if it's the same in other countries, but this bed moved, so I had to lie on the bed holding the handles, and it sort of turned me all around to mix. I'm guessing it's to mix the stuff up inside and to make it lie on different sides of my stomach so they could get x-rays from all different angles. So it's pretty wild ride, and holding down that liquid is pretty difficult, but it was good. And again, the nurse will take you, go to this window, and then that person at that window says, go sit outside F01, and this person says, now go down there to H, and each step is so efficient. It's excellent. In fact, all the things I'm talking about here, it took total time, including that first 15-20 minutes of faffing around at the start. The whole thing was 1 hour and 20 minutes. So absolutely excellent. So yeah, x-rays, and the barium thing was the last thing, obviously, because it leaves you feeling pretty shitty. You haven't eaten for 12 hours, and then they put that inside you. So I was feeling pretty crappy at the end, and it was the last step. And then how's this? Went up to the counter. All that I just said is normally free. You've only got to pay if you get the cancer checks. And the extra cost for the cancer checks was 2,600 yen, which is about $25. So everything there was $25, you know. And if I hadn't had the cancer checks, it would have been free. So then I get up to the counter and they paid my $25, and she said, "Here's a token for that drink machine over there." There was a vending machine. There's a token for the drink machine. You can get a drink because they know you haven't eaten. And here's a voucher for the bakery on the first floor. And the hotel actually has, this is the city hospital, right? And the city hospital is a pretty new one. And down on the first floor, they've got a convenience store, which is pretty normal in city hospitals, and a little, like a boutique bakery. So I don't think they bake the stuff there, but it comes from somewhere, and it's all freshly baked stuff. So there was like a ham and cheese croissant, and there was all these different tasty things, you know. So here's a free voucher for one of them. So I went down there and had that. So that was the experience. They're sort of, the bedside manner is different. You know, I've mentioned this in previous videos about different healthcare stuff in Japan. They're very professional, and like with most Japanese people, they're very professional, very polite, but not super friendly. You know, it's not, you don't get an intimate connection with any of the healthcare workers. I remember years ago I went to Australia, took my wife with me to Australia, and I went and saw my old doctor in Australia. This was a long time ago, it was about 14 years ago, and went back for a visit, took the missus with me, and went and saw the doctor, and sat out in the waiting room. When he came out, "Hey, how you going? Long time no see, how's Japan?" And sort of shook my hand and took me into his room and sat there and talked to me for 15 minutes. And then, you know, whatever he said, what are you here for? And when we left, we went back to the car. My wife said to me, was he your school friend? You know, and I said, no, just my doctor. And she thought, because he was so super friendly and chatty and stuff, that, and the big connection with the shaking hands and "how you going, mate, and good to see you," that he must be a friend. And I said, "No, that's just the doctor. That's just the GP. That's the connection we have." So, but they don't do that here. The doctors here usually don't look at you. The nurses are a little bit more relaxed and friendly, but not friendly. That's not the right word. They're just nice. They're nice to you. You know, kind to you. That's a better word. They're kind. Usually they're kind. I had blood taken. I always have trouble getting blood vessels. I've got 2 big black marks on my arms at the moment. They have real trouble getting my blood vessels, and so she was poking in and out. I had that trouble in the hospital too, and they'd say, "Oh, gomen ne, genbatte kudasai, gaman shite." So they're saying, sorry, you know, endure it and take it, or, you know, bang, 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 bang. But quite nice, you know, they're quite nice. It's not a nice experience. It's okay. It's okay, you know, and efficient as anything. I mean, how's that? The actual examinations and treatments was like 1 hour for all of that. It's very efficient. Next step, very much like that Toyota factory. You know, the next step, really efficient. And often the next step, that nurse is ready. So you finish with this nurse, and that next nurse is standing there and says, you know, "Here you go. What's your name? What's your date of birth?" And then off you go for the next step. So really good, really good. It's a good system. So yeah, you can be assured. You know, the healthcare system I come from in Australia was very good, but I think the Japanese system has an edge. You know, I know my friends and family in Australia have to wait for treatments and things, and here, every experience. If you look at that healthcare playlist, you know, I've had all sorts of procedures done here, and usually there's almost no waiting. One day I was diagnosed with something serious, reasonably serious, and they had me unconscious and doing a procedure on me within about an hour. really efficient. "Oh, we better deal with this. That's not good." And so they're really good. They are really good. So look, anybody that's thinking about coming here, I've had some people that are old folks like me that want to come and spend long term here, and healthcare is a huge worry for them. You know, it is tricky. You do need help with the Japanese. If you know, unless your Japanese is pretty good. You know, quite often today I was like, what is it? And you've got to be pretty on the ball to try and catch on to what they're talking about, you know, because often it's medical terminology, you know. It's like, "Oh, what's that?" And if you're lucky, they'll explain it in a simpler way. "Oh, yeah, okay, I've got you. Or you'll be able to see from the situation what they're talking about. You know, they're telling you to lie on a table. They've got an ECG machine over there and all the diodes and stuff. You go, all right, I know what you're going to do here. You know, the instructions were pretty funny with that stomach X-ray thing. The instructions there were pretty hard to follow. He was trying to get me to do all sorts of positions, and I was, you want me to do what? Oh, okay, I've got you. So anyway, yeah, look, it's good, guys. It's good. I hear about the healthcare systems in other countries, and I think we're lucky here. We really are. It costs a fair bit for the family. The healthcare insurance premium for this year was about $5,500 for the family, for the four of us. So it is a little bit expensive, but I had 5 weeks of hospitalisation a few years ago that would have been worth, who knows, 50 grand, 80 grand. Who knows what that would have been worth if I had to pay for it. It cost me $500. So it's a good system. It's a really good system. If you work out here what your cost of living is, and then your income, and you look at your how much tax you pay and your health insurance and everything else. In Australia you don't have to do that, pay the health insurance separately. It's included in the tax. But when you do all the math, it still works out okay, compared to a lot of other countries. So it's a good system. It's efficient. They do a good job. I haven't had any bad experiences in the hospitals here, really. A couple of minor ones, just sometimes arrogant doctor or something, but overall it's excellent. Really is good. So anyway, that's about time. Sun's setting. 38 degrees it was today. It was hot. Nice now though, isn't it? Anyway, that's enough of that. More videos coming soon.